qualify for 15 top sales director trips, including 11 of the prestige trips. She appeared in the top 10 of her seminar 13 times and is a top 10 sales director nationwide 5 times. She's a runner-up. What can I say? She's good. She is a runner-up to the Queen of Union Sales 3 times and Queen 4 times. She has led her unit to the $1 Million Circle of Excellence 9 times. Her highest this year in the $1,200,000 circle, and her highest monthly commission check is over $23,000. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome with me my daughter, new independent national sales director, Julie Weaver.
To have a miracle in your life, your career, your finances this year. Absolutely. We've all heard of incredible miracles that have happened for others in their life. And we think, why doesn't anything like that ever happen for me? Or I pray that I still never experience any miracles. You see, we all want a miracle to happen. We never want to be in a situation where we require one. I've read hundreds of miracles all throughout the Bible. And the other day, I went on Google and looked up modern day miracles, of which there were thousands. Do you know what every miracle had in common? Fear, pain, or desperation. And a 100% belief that without divine intervention, you were destined to fail. So while everyone wants a miracle, no one wants to be in that place. You ever had a friend take a trip of a lifetime and they were so excited when they returned? They wanted to share with you their experiences, their challenges, their victories and adventures with nothing but snapshots of their trip. That's how I feel today. I want to share with you in these brief moments a snapshot of the journey that I've taken, the experiences that I've gained, the challenges that I've faced, and the miracles that I've watched, so that you can leave here knowing that one woman can change the world with a dream in her heart and a lipstick in her hand. I grew up in a Mary Kay home, but never dreamed of doing Mary Kay. That is not until I came to seminar my senior year in high school to watch my mom debut as a national sales director. You don't get to pick your dreams. Psalms 139 says, "You shaped me first inside, then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. Like an open book, you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. All the days of my life prepared before I even lived one day." So God designed you with a dream in mind. But dreams are realized and revealed in stages. Because I believe that if God revealed his dream for us all at once, we wouldn't believe it. Nor would we be able to handle it. Thus begins the journey of preparation for promotion. I became a consultant on my 18th birthday with a dream of being a national sales director and changing the world. Less than a year later, I got married, quit Mary Kay, and got a real job. A dream is not a goal that you can give up on. It is part of your DNA. God hardwired it into you from birth. And though you may choose not to pursue it, the dream will continue to grow in you because it is part of who you are. Unbeknown to me, I had just entered the prep school for all dreamers, and I didn't even know it. Kind of like the children of Israel when they escaped slavery from Egypt for the dream of the promised land. No sooner than they were out of Egypt and on their way to realizing their dream, which at most was a 4-week journey, when they wanted to quit and turn back. So God took them the long route. Because He's not satisfied with just getting you out of Egypt or financial, relational, or professional disaster. He wants to get Egypt, lack, selfishness, and self-promotion out of you. Joe and I got married on love, started having kids, and soon I found myself broke, busted, and disgusted. I wanted more, because once you've been given a glimpse of what life could be like, the promised land, you'll never be satisfied with anything less. In perfect, God-like timing, He waited until I had made a nest of all my plans to reintroduce me to His. My mom and dad came over for dinner when my dad said to me, "Julie, even a dumb consultant can make money at Mary Kay if you were working like a business." Everything changed. I was scared, didn't know how I was going to make this work with a full-time job and 2 kids under 2. I knew that I would. Dreams don't require details. They require obedience. And I was determined to be obedient to pursuing the dream that God had placed in my heart. 4 months later, I earned the use of my first career card, became a director a few months after that. Then I settled because my immediate need had been met. Wouldn't it be great if we could just always live with no problems, no stress, no challenges? The short-term pain of correction is worth the long-term prize of character. In perfect God-like timing, I became pregnant with baby number 3. And a month into my pregnancy, Joe was handed a pink slip. Mary Kay went from being our backup plan to our only plan. Against all advice, all common sense, Joe and I prayed and decided that Mary Kay would be our sole income. We made a role reversal. You know, it takes a really strong, secure man to make a role reversal with his wife at the age of 28. But Joe has always believed in the dream that God had given me, even when I didn't. He was asked one time by our neighbor, "How does it feel to have your wife make more money than you?" He just said, "I don't know, Tim. She makes more money than you too. How do you feel?" Making that decision, we went from a struggling unit of 50 to 150, from no unit club to the $500,000 unit club. I have to admit that when I read the Bible, the Old Testament, and I see how the children of Israel were delivered time and time again by God, and yet they insist on going their own way, not obeying, not believing in the dreams of the promised land. I think, how dumb are these people? Don't they get it? What does God have to do in their lives to prove He is faithful. And then, oh, look at my life. Here I was, a top director. I earned the trips. I made a good income. I was at home raising my kids with a husband who loved me, whom I loved, and yet I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to do $1 million. And for 7 years, I tried, always falling short. Sometimes we can get so focused on one thing, this one way that we are wanting God to act on our behalf. This one moment when He's supposed to show up and do something spectacular. That we close ourselves off from His greater purposes. I wanted the promotion. God was more interested in preparation. I was consumed with the test. God was more interested in my testimony. I went to leadership conference that year, not on target for any trip. When I heard Susie Orman talk about the peace of being debt-free, not having money dictate every decision, being humble enough to admit that I was in debt, making different choices, and taking control of my financial future, I was so convicted, I left the assembly in tears. Here I was, a top trip-winning director, $22,000 in credit card debt. I was feeling like I was living a lie. I was trying so hard to make more money and so afraid that I wouldn't have enough that I became consumed with money and performance instead of focusing on my purpose and people. You can't lead people when you need people. Sometimes what we need most is not a change of circumstances. It's a change of heart.
Yes.
So I came home. I started to make different choices. I went to work with a change of heart. In 6 months, I was able to accomplish what I hadn't been able to do for 7 years. That year, I spun off several offspring directors, and we finished in the $1 million circle of excellence. In 2 years, we were debt-free. The lesson that I needed to learn was not, how can I get to the $1 million circle of excellence, but what do I need to change to become the leader that you want me to be, God? Then, the how-to took care of itself. 2001, my mom mentioned she only had a year and a half before she would retire, and everything in me went on overdrive. I wanted to be her offspring national. After all, it was the dream that God had started in my heart back in 1982 when I saw her debut. I had enough offspring directors that it was within my reach. So I launched full steam ahead to debut by seminar in 2003. By January, all people were getting into place, and the company told me that I was on track to be #1 at seminar. I talked it, I walked it, I worked it, and I watched it all fall apart. I was bitterly disappointed and angry, and for the next 8 years, I wandered. It is said that the children of Israel made it to the edge of Canaan, the promised land, somewhere between 15 to 18 months after leaving Egypt. Close enough to see it, but not yet ready to enter it. Kind of like me. I had been close enough to see it, but not quite ready to arrive. Oh, I didn't quit. I kept working. I never missed an event. I set goals. I put one foot in front of the other. And I tried to avoid the question, so when are you going national? The scenery during this part of my journey looked amazingly like a desert. My mother had retired from Mary Kay. My 2 girls had gotten married, and they were building a life of their dreams. Our youngest was driving, looking for colleges to pursue his dreams. Joe had come home one day and said, I bought something today, baby. I said, what? I thought he got like a pair of shoes or a watch. He bought a gas station at a convenience store. It's hard to be around people pursuing, reaching, and living their dreams when you're not. I was driving home one night from an event when I put in one of the monthly CDs from the company. It was new National Sales Director Kelly McCarroll talking about a turning point moment in her career on the top director's trip in Rome when she heard Julie Weaver say, "You must have an unwavering belief in your dream." She went home from that trip and she became the National Sales Director. I almost ran my car off the road.
Hear her words.
And wondering, did I miss you, Lord? Did I do something wrong, Lord? What is wrong with me? I wrote in my journal, Lord, if it's not your desire for me to be a national, then take away my desire to become one. If it is your will, then help me. And yet there was still silence. I had to ask myself many times, Julie, are you interested in the giver or just his gifts? A dream is like a plant. The greatest work, the hardest work, is being done when nothing can be physically seen before it breaks ground. I decided to go to work on me. I hired a life coach to give me a new perspective. I read more books in 6 months than I'd read in a lifetime. I taught my people everything I learned, determined to be the best leader that I can be for them. I started to rediscover who I was and why I did the things that I did. I realized how unknowingly I had shut down on the inside based on past hurts and disappointments, not fully putting my heart on the line for my dreams for fear that I would be disappointed again. I couldn't tell if I was growing, but I felt different. I felt hope, and people around me started to notice. At seminar that year, I put together a DVD of how one woman's dream had been passed on to my mom, then to me, and now to them. I told each woman's story, how that dream had changed their life. I threw my heart over the bar and made the announcement that we would be a national this year. We had 10 first-line directors. Right after that, we had 2 directors step down. At one time, I would have let that stop me. Now I consider that a sign that I was on the right track because the enemy was scared. That same month, we had our first second line.
You told me.
And then another, and then 8 DIQs submitted in November 1st. We have broken ground. We also experienced more pushbacks than we've ever had before. Every night I was in a different city. Every morning I was on my knees. Every day I would say, I cannot do this without you, Lord. On Friday, June 28th, when I shared with Judd still how far we had to go when I saw the doubt sweep across his face, I broke. I sobbed with fear, pain, and desperation. I knew without divine intervention, we could not make it. It was a perfect setup for a miracle. When Joshua and the children of Israel faced the raging floodwaters of the Jordan River, and they knew they must cross it to enter the promised land, he said, prepare yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things in our lives. About 30 miles upriver, God piled the waters of Jordan up in a heap so it was already drying up. They just couldn't see it yet. As soon as their feet touched the water, it dried up and they crossed over on dry ground. So on June 30th, with 19 directors and DIQs in my home, facing the raging waters of impossibility, we called, we prayed, we asked, we fought, and we expected our God to provide a way. And this one woman with a dream given to her 31 years ago watched as a miracle unfolded before her very eyes. And one woman, and then another woman, and then another crossed over with her to the promised land. And together, one woman at a time, we will change.